after 3.
Oh.
So
here we are. I was like, this episode is going to start with Danielle talking about her hair.
I will talk about my hair to start an episode. Don't think I won't.
So that was our lead into this episode. Welcome.
Welcome to my life.
Normally we're talking. I told the DJ there. I just pushed the button and people were talking about whatever, and it just started like that.
Thanks, Courtney.
We're back. It's another episode of Off the Post. Here we are. We're gonna be talking about the somewhat really sad ending of the She Believes Cup, and now we're gonna be spotlighting at FCKC. Yay!
Yay!
So before we start that, though, we're gonna head on down and see what our friends have been up to. Danielle, what's been going on lately?
Not a whole lot. I had to adult today, so I'm wearing a collared shirt, which is weird for me. I had to. That's why I'm wearing the hat, is because I don't want to be an adult per se. But I'm going down to Kansas City this weekend to see some Broso and get me excited for the NWSL season, which is a month away.
Yay! Sorry, I got distracted. I was opening.
I was like, was that not good enough? I can go again. It's
No. I'm trying to open the chat so I can see people are making comments or asking questions.
Yeah.
I was trying to do that. And I forgot you have to mute it or else you hear yourself. Anyways, right on. Adulting is hard sometimes, but yay for Broso. Jen, what's been going on lately?
Funny you were talking about opening the chat because I was doing the exact same thing. Great minds think alike.
I figure if we both have it open, maybe one of us will actually read it.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I'm still not over that whatever the hell that was Tuesday night. So
we're getting there.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple of days for us US fans. And that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it's not been that great. Just to remind viewers, you can type, since we're now on YouTube Live, you can type right in the little chat box for the live chat, ask us a question. I should say last time I did the show, people asked questions that weren't necessarily related to what we were talking about, and so we didn't get to them. So please, we're talking about She Believes Cup and FCKC, so if you have any questions that are related to that, put them in the chat box. If you want to ask other questions, you can, and it'll kind of be on if we get to it, we get to it. If not, we'll try to get it another time. But I know last time I was on the show, we had questions that necessarily weren't related, and we didn't get to them because we weren't really long. But anyways, so to start off, we're going to talk about I'm sorry that I'm looking at my phone. I'm pulling up our little agenda of the day. We're talking about the She Believes Cup, which was ended on Tuesday. So first we're just going to talk about the lineup, because that is a topic of much contention for many people. So what do we think? Do we agree, disagree? What changes would you guys make? We'll start with Danielle first.
I hate 3-backs. I hate the 3-back system. I hate it so much, and I get that we have to. Blah. I think Loretta retweeted or replied to the perfect comment about it that said it feels like a overreaction to one loss against one team in the Olympic brackets. I mean, I wasn't a fan. I would have liked. I know that, we did mix it up a little bit. I would have liked to see it mixed up a little more, but I hate the 3-back, and that's all I'm going to say about the lineup. And if you have it, don't put the best center back in the world on the right side.
All right, fair play. Jen, I'm sure you have a lot to say about this.
Okay.
For my blood pressure, I have to keep it.
Understandable.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with Danielle on the idea of the 3-back. We have seen with some national teams and some clubs, if you follow the Premier League, Chelsea's at the top of the table by 10 points, and they use a 3-back system as their primary system. And since they're pretty much set to go for another championship, it's working out for them. The problem is not having a 3-back itself. The problem is using the right personnel in that system to make it effective. And my phone's being annoying. Ignore that. And that was the problem with this lineup. As Danielle said, putting Becky Sauerbrunn, who is fabulous in the middle, but not so much on the outside. Putting her on the outside doesn't play to her strengths. Putting Allie Long in the center of putting her on the back line at all is a mistake, but putting her in the center just makes it worse. And Casey Short, I know she was named player of the match, but I think this was too big of a step up for her and a couple other players. I think they need more experience if you're playing a super top team like a Germany or France or England. So, like I said, I'm not averse to a 3-back. I just don't like the personnel that were in there. And and this is going to sound surprising coming from me because everybody knows how much I love a certain player on the field. I would have liked to see Carly Lloyd bench to start the game. She had a very poor game against Germany, a very slightly not so poor game against England. And, as we saw, it didn't work out in this game, even though she had one or two good moments. I would have liked to see her start on the bench and have Rose Lavelle in that number 10 position, start Heath and Dunn to start out on the wings. And that's pretty much my biggest complaints. I do like Press starting, even though she wasn't great. I do like the fact that Sam Lewis got a third start in a row, which was awesome. So it was kind of more bad, but there were a couple of good things that I liked about the lineup.
Well, to start off, I don't know how I feel about the 3-back. I will say, I get the point you're trying to make, Jen, but, the U.S. women's national team is not Chelsea either. So the 3-back, even with good players, might not be the right – I don't want to say with good players. I'm not saying the players who played 3-back were bad. But with more appropriate players, still may not necessarily be the correct format. However, it's hard to say that because they only use, people who are out of place there. So – slow. It just looks like they got burned against France. They were just slow. And just to I also agree, I think just because you're the captain doesn't mean you have to start every game. I think I take more of an issue with how long she was in the game, but we'll get to that. But, we don't have to start Carly every game just because she's Carly Lloyd and your captain. I think that it's okay to give her a break and try some other things. And I think if, everyone was saying oh, calm down, it's fine. We're trying to try new things. I think keeping one player keeping I guess a veteran player or a player who's not performing well. You said they started Sam Lewis 3 games in a row. So I don't have an issue with starting a player 3 games in a row. I think that starting a player who's been, I guess, kind of mediocre throughout a tournament just because when you then say you're trying to do new things, but you do something like that, I think is kind of contradictory. And there's so many other things that could have happened, and people could have been in Lloyd's spot, but they just wanted to start her because she's Carly Lloyd. I don't really know, but yeah, I definitely think that there were some lineup issues there. Allie Long is not a defender. Certainly not a center back. I think that's just, if you're going to play a 3-back, you should have you're one of your best center backs in the world actually playing in the middle. I think that makes more sense in the scheme of things. But I don't know. It wasn't great. So
Not great.
we'll just move on from that lineup because it was not. I think we can all agree that the lineup was not not great. We'll go to Jen first. Give us your thoughts on the first half.
Okay, so when Ellis decided to start going with this 3-back with Allie Long in the midfield, there was a concern among a number of fans that against better opposition than what we were playing back then, it was going to fall apart. We were just waiting for it to happen. It was like a bomb with a fuse on it, and all it needed was a spark to blow up. And against France, that is exactly what happened. That back line got absolutely roasted by the speed of the French forwards. I lost count of how many times they lost Leissamer. On the first one, that was basically Ali Long ball. On the first goal, that was basically Ali Long ball watching, and there she goes behind her, and Nair has to make that tackle to try to get the ball away from her, and unfortunately takes Leissamer down, which is a penalty. I think some people were saying it should have been a red card. I can't really say for sure, but I do think the law of the game says that if a keeper makes a play for the ball and takes down the attacker at once, it's a penalty, but it's not necessarily a send-off. So I think in that context, the yellow card was fair. The penalty call, absolutely 100% a stone wall. I don't have any problem with that. And Abley did her job. She baked Nair out. So, I'm not too upset about that. It was a fair call. Second goal, just a really great ball from the back to Renard. And once again, it was Ali Long losing Leissamer. And, I think it I think Leissamer could have had a little bit more difficulty with that, because you see Becky Sauerbrunn come in, but I don't know if it was just the ground or whatever, but she slipped and goes sliding, and basically Leissamer had Nair at her mercy, and she, again, made no mistake about it. So, it was just a case of the back line screwing up and French forwards doing their job for once. So, two really quick goals, and the U.S. just looked done after that. I mean, that applies to more the whole game, but especially after that, I mean, you look at them, and I haven't seen the team that defeated since, again, the infamous Brazil loss that everybody kept talking about at the end. So it was just a combination of a bad tactical formation, France doing their job and putting the team back on their heels, and they just did not react well. Nobody was playing particularly well. I think, Rose Lavelle had some decent moments, certainly not to the level that she had against England. I think Sam Ewis had some good opportunities. Not good opportunities, good moments to try to get something started, but it just wasn't happening, because most of the time the ball would go to Carly Lloyd, and she would either hold on to it too long or make a bad pass right to a French player. So, overall, it was just kind of a messy first half, and it's something we haven't talked about. What's happened to Morgan Bryan over the last year? I mean, you go back to Olympic qualifying last year, and she was named the best player of the tournament, and she was outstanding. And then she had a pretty good She Believes Cup, but then after that, it's like, where has her form gone? She is not the player that was killing it at the World Cup in the beginning of the last year, and it showed. She had an absolutely awful game. I think she had that bad turnover that led to that eventually ended up with the penalty kick. She had a turnover on that. She just, I just don't know what's happened. What's happened to her? She just looks poor, and she's another one that shouldn't have been on the field. So, I mean, it was just a mess all around. I don't know how much blame you can put on Alyssa Nair for that, for either of those goals. I mean, other than one or two maybe decent moments from a couple of players, there wasn't anything positive to talk about from the U.S. It was all France doing their job. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. They went out and did it, and a lot of credit to them, but also just really bad overall from the U.S. in that half. In the second half too, but I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, do you have any just comments for the second half while we're here? I feel like it's mostly like the same as the first half. Not great.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to talk about. That third goal was just a mistake on so many levels. I mean, you have three players coming in on a cluster on Tomise, including Casey Short, who leaves Parasite wide open. I don't know what she was doing, because I think the two players that were on Tomise could have maybe contained her. And and Short made the mistake of coming up to join them, which left Harrisette wide open to get that cross. And then Ali Long is basically ball watching, and she more or less just lets that ball go past her. When you see on the replay, you see Nair, trying to direct her, saying, get on your mark. And Long's just ball watching, which left poor Brood to basically cover two people in the penalty box. And I don't know. I think she got caught between two minds and didn't really mark either one. And Abilene got free and got that third goal. So it was just no communication. The subs that Ellis made didn't really make much of an impact. Our forwards were, well, I will say, except for Dunn in the first few minutes of the second half, I think she did more than Kristen Press did in 45 minutes. So that was actually one decent sub that Ellis made. I will give her credit for that. But yeah, it was just more of the same for the first. Nobody from the U.S. really played super well. Almost everybody from France played super well. So the whole thing was just a mess. Do you have anything to add, Danielle?
Yeah, well, we're gonna read by half, but the whole game was just kind of like a big mess. So there's Jen's thoughts on the game. Danielle, your thoughts?
I don't like talking about the U.S. right now, so it works out well. They're not fun to watch. They're not. It's frustrating. I think Jen said it really well. There's so many times where certain players were ball watching and led to goals. I mean, you're talking about that second goal where Bryn slipped. I mean, you got somebody on the right side having to run to the center of the field really fast in the pouring rain. If they do get there, they're not going to have the balance to do anything with it. So, whoop. So, yep, it's not fun to talk. Basically, I'm ready for club season.
Me too.
We're getting there. I just want to add a couple quick things, and we had one question specifically that people wanted to comment on. But personally, I agree with everything you guys said. I can't go out. I can't really have a show without saying something that's going to get me in trouble, probably. But I will say, first of all, I think probably the two players who were the best in the game, I would have to say. Sorry, I don't know why I clicked you. I would have to say were Tobin Heath and Becky Sauerbrunn. That's the case. And then I think as far as like Nair and stuff being like, Jen mentioned like things being Nair's fault. I agree. I don't think really those goals were her fault. I will say though, I don't really care who's the goalkeeper for the U.S., honestly. I will say though, if you're going to, I guess like give Nair a break with poor defending and stuff like that on goals, you also have to give Harris that as well. And I'm just saying that as like a party who doesn't really care, and I think that sometimes people are unfair to both, in the sense that I think people who really like Ashlyn Harris are like, well, look, Nair let goals in too, and I don't really think that's right. And I think people who don't really like, like Ashlyn Harris are like, oh, look, Ashlyn Harris let goals in. But I think people, when they're making goalkeeper comparisons, have to take some time to look at the circumstances surrounding the goals and understand and be fair to both. We have a quick question. I know you guys commented on it a little bit, but if you guys have anything else, we were asked specifically what our thoughts on Rose Lavelle's performance were. Does anyone have anything specifically to add about that?
I love Rose. I love her. I'm so proud of her. I love her.
Okay, I have a huge.
Okay, Jen.
My God.
I have a huge soft spot for players who are from my hometown, and Rose is from my hometown, so that's an instant brownie points right there. She had a fantastic debut against England. She didn't have quite the same impact as she did against France, but considering how much of a cluster that game was, I mean, she was trying. Maybe she could have tightened up a little better on the defensive end, but I think she was one of the only people in the first half, along with Mewis, who was actually trying to get something going. And I was her second cap. Exactly, and I was a little baffled why Ellis took her out at halftime, because she was one of the few players that wasn't just being a total screw up. But you know, I don't think Pugh did bad.
Don't die.
Excuse me. I don't think Pugh did horrible when she came in. So it wasn't a total sub. But I really wish maybe Ellis would have tried, instead of taking Pugh out, maybe take Carly out at halftime. And I mean, instead of taking Lavelle out, maybe take Carly out at halftime, put Lavelle in Carly's spot, and then put Pugh where Lavelle was, instead of just a straight swap of Pugh for Lavelle. So, but yeah, I think she is. I'm not expecting too many things from her in a rookie season, because, you know, it is Boston and they do have that cloud of losing over their heads that they got to clear first. But I was so happy for her getting her first cap. I was very impressed with her performance against England, and I thought she did okay against France. So I hope going forward Ellis gives her more caps to show what she can do and maybe help her develop.
Yeah, I might have been a little unfair when I said the only players who were really good were Tobin Heath and Becky Sauerbrunn, because Lavelle, for being in the game she was in and it being only her second cap, I do think did really well, and I'm excited to see what the future lies ahead for her. Words are hard. I apologize. I know I'm echoing on somebody's screen. I don't have headphones at the moment, so I apologize for any of the echo. But just to wrap up, I think that this is going to bother me. We're going to talk amongst ourselves for a second while I put some headphones on so that this is less annoying.
Here's a topic Rhode Island, neither a road nor an island, discuss.
Well, that's a funny way to spell road if you're saying it's not a road, but whatever.
It's an old SNL joke. Anywho.
I do not watch Saturday.
That's from the 90s.
For the
way off topic. It's from the 90s.
Talk amongst yourselves again. I am going to go to headphones.
I will say that we've wasted way too much time on the U.S. women's national team when we could be talking about
there's
FC Kansas City.
It's happening. We're getting there. Hold, please.
I'm trying to not make this an awkward transition.
Oh,
I don't know if that works with my new haircut, guys. We're going back to the haircut.
That doesn't look that bad, but Courtney, why? Why did you have to get so awkward?
It's not awkward.
And it's not awkward. You made it awkward. It's fine.
We're still, the headphones don't work, so that's fine. Sorry, folks. I will say, just wrapping up with the U.S. national team real quick. I mentioned some subs. I think the fact that Long and Lloyd stayed on so long in the second half is gross. But anyways, let's move on.
Yay!
Spotlight! Hooray! Thanks for everyone who hung out with that awkward transition. It's fine. Real quickly, we'll answer one more U.S. women's national team question. If you had to make a player of the tournament, who would it be for the Leagues Cup? Real quick, then we'll go to Kansas City, I promise. Jen.
A player of the tournament overall?
I don't know. It just says player of the tournament. I mean, it's a YouTube question.
I'm assuming they mean U.S.
Well, I mean,
no, because it says player of the tournament and manager of the tournament. So I think you can pick from whatever team you'd like.
Oh God.
Oh, manager of the tournament, definitely Mr. E, whose last name I cannot pronounce for the life of me, the French coach. I think what he's shown in these 3 games is that while his lineups might be a bit at times, he can do something Jill Ellis sucks at, and that is he can make the right subs at the right time to impact the game. I mean, you look at that game against England, they were pretty much nowhere to be found in the first 60 or so minutes. He starts making these subs, and they turn the game around and beat England at the death. You know, Germany's kind of because both teams were kind of but the subs that he made against the U.S. didn't disrupt France's flow at all. I mean, he put in people that didn't have it. There wasn't any difference between what he had taken out and what he brought in. So as far as manager of the tournament, I definitely have to give it to Mr. E, and I'm going to call him that from now on. As far as player of the tournament, I don't know. That is a tough one because, maybe Camille Abley. I mean, she didn't play every minute, but she was pretty impactful when she did come in. And she had the 2 goals against the U.S. More right place, right time on the third one, and the first one was on the second one. The first one was a penalty. So, but I think besides that, I think she played really well. So, player of the tournament overall for me would be Camille Abley. Player of the tournament for the U.S. I really want to say Rose Lavelle, but she didn't. I would have liked to see her play in the Germany game. I would have liked to see her get her first cap then. So it's either her or Sam Mewis, because I thought Mewis actually got better as the tournament went along. And again, with Lavelle was one of the 2 players that didn't completely suck against France. So it's a very close call, but I'm actually going to go with Sam Mewis as player of the tournament for the U.S.
All right, Danielle, real quick.
Well, I'm going to have to, I guess, defer to you guys because I don't really feel fair picking manager and player of the tournament overall because I had to adult and go to work, so I did not catch the non-U.S. games. So I can't really, I know I'm a bad fan, but I had life. For the U.S., my liver for getting me through these times. I mean, I think Tobin had a good tournament. You know, I think she's really grown as a player, and I'm actually really enjoying watching her play, which certain people who might be watching or know how I am might enjoy me saying that. I'm going to go with Rose. I know she only played 2 of the games, but to me, she stood out. So.
Manager, I'm going to go with Mark Sampson. Player, I feel like I would go with, I'm just going to do a U.S. player also. I would say Tobin Heath probably. She just was pretty consistent more often than not.
The thing that kind of bothered me about Sampson was that first game, and I mean, he even admitted as much in the post game. He said in the post game that he made poor choices that cost him that game. So that's kind of like my biggest knock against him and why I went with Mr. E over Sampson.
Why are you criticizing her manager of the tournament pick? Why you got to be like that?
I'm just putting that out there. That was probably the one because I think he did do a good job overall, but just that first game was just a cluster.
All right. So we're going, as promised, right on schedule, right on time to FCKC. Our spotlight, Danielle is pulling double duty today as panelist and representative of FCKC supporter group. So we're going to just jump right in with the supporter group, the Blue Crew. And Danielle, just tell us a little. This is awkward when you just go from being a panelist and now I'm going to like interview you about the Blue Crew.
That's how it is.
So tell us a little bit about it and some things that you guys do before or after the game. I know like other Jen and I were fortunate enough to be able to spend some time with the Blue Crew last summer at a game in Kansas City, which was great. No, it was amazing. So just tell us, for those of us who don't know, tell us a little bit about what you guys do before, during, after the game, and outside of the game.
Yeah, so Blue Crew, we were founded actually, our president Kat founded us the day the team was announced. So technically we were the first supporter group. Kat makes sure to say that often. Yeah, we're kind of a small but loyal group. We tailgate before, we hang out, we do post games. We're very blessed as a supporters group that we have such a deep relationship with our team. Many reasons for that, but we are very lucky and have such support from our team, from the players. You know, we've traveled to see them, games and finals. I know that other supporter groups have good relationships. I know the Spirit, for one, their players really back. But I think Blue Crew has something unique and special, and we also we are one that likes to hang out with other supporter groups as well. We're in it for, you know, fun and friendship. I know Chicago local. They're some of our greatest friends down at the final. So kind of got off topic with that. But yeah, we tailgate before at Swope Stadium. We kind of hang out, have fun, get to know people. Opposing fans are always invited. You know, as you heard right there. We had Cloud9, we had Spirit fans, we had Seattle fans, which Seattle's not our favorite team, so that shows you how much we like to have fun. We're always
and what does Seattle think about some of your chants? That maybe Seattle.
Most are fine with it. Most are fine with it. Some Seattle fans laugh. There's one person in particular who doesn't, but we're moving on from that. We are moving on from the player.
I'm honestly not trying to start crap. I just was curious. Honestly,
we are moving on from
respect.
that. We chant a lot. Most of our, you know, we kind of recycle through the same old. We do have. There's only one two-star team in the league, which Seattle fans don't like, or they laugh. But really, we are during games have fun with it. We don't take ourselves too seriously. You'll hear us laughing more than anything. Yeah. And then post game, last year we didn't get to do it as much, but this year we are kind of partnering, I guess you would say, with Charlie Hooper's, which is a Kansas City bar food place for post game. So we're going to go to that. That's where our watch parties were for the She Believes. And, you know, players might come, hopefully. If not, we're just going to hang out, have a good time.
Awesome. Just another, you know, what I think was something that was really cool when we went, for people, again, who don't know, we really liked how you had, like, your little banners and stuff around, like, the soccer park and stuff like that for players who were, like, retired, no longer with the team, things like that. That was really cool. So shout out, again, as someone who's been there in the Spirit shirt, hanging out and felt very welcome and cool staying with you guys. Rock on to everyone in the Blue Crew. We're going to bump on over to talk about some of the season. I'm actually going to start with Jen for this first question, and then we'll come back to you, Danielle. So, Jen, tell us a little bit about what you thought about FC Kansas City last season, how they performed, things like that.
All right, I'm going to say this. Kansas City last season wasn't horrible. They did not hit the levels that they hit the first 3 seasons. I mean, it's harder to it's pretty hard to top 2 championships, but that's to be expected when I would say probably 80% of your goal scoring power goes bye-bye for various reasons. But yeah, offensively they struggled. It was pretty clear that they were creating some good opportunities, but they didn't have anyone really experienced to get on the end of those opportunities and put them away. Now, defensively, on the other hand, they were actually pretty solid. I think they were, maybe tied for 2nd or 3rd in goals allowed. Danielle, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But they were towards the They were towards the top end in defensive strength. That was I think what kept them in the hunt for a playoff spot as far as they as long as they were. But yeah, offensively they were just I mean, Shea Groom, bless her little heart, she tried so hard to get things going. She was pretty much the one that was the one constant on the field, even though she missed a game or 2. She was the one really bright spot in the offense for Kansas City. And it makes me kind of sad that McCarty's not coming back this year, even though she probably wouldn't have gotten time, because toward the end of the season, she and Groom had this really nice partnership developing. It took them a while to get it going. Once they got it, it was It was really good. So yeah, it was just kind of the season we all expected. Although I think some of us thought they would maybe finish the bottom 3. So a 6th place is probably fair considering your offensive struggles.
Yeah.
Danielle.
Well, yeah.
Again, just your comments on that.
No. It's absolutely right. We did struggle offensively, but our defense was really strong. So many of our losses were 1-0, 1-0 losses. So we were in games, we just weren't winning them. Except for towards the end when stuff started clicking. FC Kansas City has always been that run right at the end of the season, and we just ran out of time. Mm-hmm. I still say that if we had a couple more games, I think we would have made the playoffs. And if we would have made the playoffs, who knows what would have happened because we click at the end. But yeah, we struggled with the goals. Shay was up there. She tried. She scored some really great goals, but it just wasn't clicking all together. Heyo worked her butt off. Sometimes she overcompensated just because they were trying so hard to get it up there. There's just that missing chemistry for so long. And then when it came back, again, like I said, we ran out of time. But, we have a strong defense. It's only getting stronger, so. And we got some offense coming back, so.
We'll get to that in a second. I think that's all a very fair assessment. I think that we're like from the get-go, having won the national NWSL championship 2 years in a row, I think that it was always going to be a big ask for them this season, and then they started losing players, and I think it really was going to become a big ask for them. And I think that they handled kind of the changes that they had to handle as best as they could. I think the game I went to was in like mid-July, so kind of like towards the middle, later half of the season, and it was a really good game against Spirit. I think they only lost by a goal, like you said, and it was a really, really good game, and they did have a lot of things that clicked, and like throughout the season and later in the season. So, I think you said they just ran out of time. I think that's accurate. They were starting to click, so hopefully they can get that stuff together this year. We're going to start with you this time, Danielle, just a kind of a two-parter. Talk to us a little bit about some of the impact you think some of the off-season changes will have, and then players that you think are players to look out for this season. Yeah, so we've had, player-wise, a quiet off-season, but we've had quite the off-season. Our team did get sold why can I never remember his name? But the Minnesota business guy, staying in Kansas City. The new FO is still in the Overland Park, greater Overland Park area, so we haven't moved too far. There's a couple people from the old staff. There's some new faces. I haven't been able to go down and visit, but I've heard so many great things and talked with that. So I think it's only going to help. There's such a commitment to soccer and building the crowds, the sport. So I think that off-season part of it is going to be really great. We have a new general manager. You can't replace you, but I think so. Yeah, busy off-season on that aspect. Obviously, players to look out for to have an impact. We have Sid and A-Rod back. Both of them coming back after having kids. Both of them, showing that kind of wanting to prove themselves. I think Sydney, to me, is, I love Sydney. I think she's going to go out there and show she has something to prove. And I think it's going to click. I wasn't the biggest fan of getting Sydney when we first got her. I think she's worked her butt off to build that chemistry with the team, starting with last off season. She, trained with them and all that. So I think those two, they're going to really create score and goal opportunities and really create some magic. I had a good draft as well. So look out for Sid and A-Rod, of course. It's the cliche answer, but I think it's going to be good. All right. I lost my cursor there for a second. Jen, just some of your thoughts on kind of, maybe some of the draft picks for Kansas City and also players to look out for.
Well, I'm going to first of all say that Christina Givens was actually a player that I was hoping the Courage would take at number 2 because she fills a need.
Sorry, not sorry.
But that's okay. We had the chance to take her first, and we went for another forward, which is a rant for another show. So we're trying to stick to Kansas City. So, I think I don't know if this what's the word I'm looking for? She's obviously a player that I was kind of high on. I think she has the ability to maybe step in right away and win a starting spot. Who knows with Blacko what he's thinking? You obviously know him and his crazy mind better than we do.
So much.
And yeah, the second draft pick, Payne. Little disappointed that she chose to go overseas to Ajax instead of signing, because I think she probably could have been a spark off the bench and maybe later in the season push for more time, put pressure on the returning players that were out last season. So that was a little bit of a disappointment. I think you said off the air, who was it? Beal, their 4th round pick. You thought she was going to be an absolute. Yeah, 4th round. Yeah, it was the 4th round. Now I'm confused.
4th round, our 5th pick. That's where I got confused. Sorry.
Okay, you had me all confused.
That was my bad.
Yeah, you said before we went on the air that you thought she was going to be a steal. I don't know too much about her, so I'll take your word for it. She'll be another one that I'll be keeping my eye on. Again, don't know how much time she's going to get. 4th rounders usually don't step in right away. So
Not true for my team.
And my biggest concern with 2 of the returning players is, I know Sid's been apparently working out a lot, but she hasn't played a competitive game in almost 2 years. That is a very long time to be off of a soccer field. First, it was through her ankle injury, then through her pregnancy. I would be very surprised if she came out of the gates flying. I think it's going to take her some time to get her touch back that we saw a few years ago when she was basically the one person on the national team able to score. And my other big concern with A-Rod is she had 2 really strong seasons, but both of those seasons were with Lauren Holiday behind her, basically feeding her great ball after great ball after great ball. And I'm sorry I brought up Lauren Holiday. You look like you're about to cry, but
every time I hear her name and I'm like, I'm okay.
She is not going to have that this year, and that is my biggest concern. Is she going to be able to be as productive as she was without having that security behind her? Because while the other Kansas City midfielders are good, none of them are as good as Lauren Holiday. So that is probably my biggest concern.
Let's not make Danielle cry on the show.
I'm sorry. I'm trying not to make you cry, but yeah, those are my those are my 2 biggest concerns with both Rodriguez and LaRue. Is, can LaRue get back to the form that we saw at the beginning of 2014? And can Rodriguez produce without Lauren Holiday? So that'll be the biggest, I think probably the biggest factor in where Kansas City finishes this season.
Answer yes and yes. Yes. Yes.
Is that coming from the super fan or the rational, logical thinker?
Right now, I'm the Blue Crew representative. I'm not a panelist. True. So there you go.
Okay. Well, let's go to the deciding vote. What does Courtney think?
Pause before I comment. People want to know, Danielle, how excited are Kansas City fans to have A-Rod back?
So excited. So excited. I obviously, Jen, you were saying, it was that Lauren A-Rod combo, but A-Rod she's that spark. It's kind of, I guess Groom has the same thing where she goes and she's fast and she is a gnat almost, and she's there and she's going to bug your players and really make things happen. And it's so good. And I'm so excited. I miss her. and I can't wait to see her. We're all so excited. I mean, they've been putting her and Sid in commercials since last season to renew season tickets. The Kansas City fans are so excited.
And also, again, before I comment real quick, from our very own Danica, wants to know, do you think that A-Rod will get any game time with the national team going forward?
I mean, she got called into that January camp, so definitely a possibility. Or not January. She got called into the last camp and then got cut. It all goes together these last few months. It's been basically since January 20th. I don't remember anything, but she's been called in a few times. I think just subtle right there, right? Yeah, I think she'll get called into camp, and I think Jill will want to evaluate her on the field. That's not to say she's going to earn that permanent spot. I'm realistic. I think she turned 30, I want to say. So, I don't remember math, but yeah. So I think she'll get some time. I don't think she'll get the permanent spot. I'll be honest. I think there's just so much competition there right now. But yeah, I think she'll get called in a few more times.
And Jen, I'll go to you real quick so you have a chance to answer that question about A-Rod on the national team as well. So what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, I'm going to answer this, but then you have to answer.
I will.
I hate to say it. I just don't. I mean, she's had almost 150 caps and has had maybe a handful of really strong moments. Most of the time, she's either skying shots to the moon or getting offside, which is not really super ideal if you're a forward. So I just think with the increased level of competition that there is now compared to when she first came onto the national team, and I mean as a regular fixture, she did come in 2005, but she was way too young then. When she first came in 2008, the forward pool wasn't nearly as strong as it is now. I just think with her having all these years off and all these other young forwards coming up, I think she might get the odd call up here and there, but a permanent spot, no. I think the time for her being a fixture on the national team is unfortunately done, which kind of pains me a little bit to say, but that's just how it works.
Okay, so I agree kind of with both you said about the national team, so I'll kind of go over that. So I'm like in agreement with both of you on different play. So I agree with you on one player and I agree with Jen on another player. So I think I'm not really sure about A-Rod. I do agree with Jen that I'm not saying all her success depended solely on Lauren Holiday. I just think that they were kind of a 1-2 combination, and I'm not saying I don't think she'll be successful with Kansas City. I just don't. It's hard to say. It's kind of like the date is not really there because she's always had Lauren Holiday with her, and they kind of played off each other really well. I'm not saying that she can't. I just think that she maybe is going to be missing that and is going to have to get more creative and maybe work a little harder to get herself in a position where she can, have chances and score goals. Based on just that. But we'll see. But I kind of lean more towards Jen where I don't really know that I think that's a big factor. I think Lauren Holiday was a big factor for a lot of her success on the team. Not to take away from Rodriguez at all, but I just think that it's going to be interesting to see. I think Sydney Leroux is going to surprise us. Maybe not surprise people who think that she's going to come out and do well. It might not be a surprise, but the thing about Sydney Leroux is that I always think that she's very I'm trying to think of the word, very hungry for goals and hungry for success. And you always see her, charging full speed ahead. And, she's kind of an aggressive play style sometimes. And I think that whether it will translate into success or not may yet to be seen, but I think that she will come out swinging and I think maybe she feels like she might have a point to prove because she's been out for so long and people have said their things about her, which may be less than positive. But I think that she still has the ability, just judging from social media and things like that, you can tell she's been working really hard, Like Danielle said, she was even training last season with the team, and you can tell she's been working really hard since, you know, having the baby to get back into shape and get back on the field. And I think we'll see that, whether it translates into success or not, but I think you'll definitely see her make an impact just because she's so quick and so like trying to be on the ball that I think even if she can't translate it into goal scoring or like assists or anything like that, I think she'll be an annoyance to defenders, you know, at the very least. So I'm kind of split 50-50 between the two players with kind of a side that I'm on. So I didn't really help at all, but as far as tiebreaker goes, I did, I guess, but I agree with one for one player and the other one for another. So I'm like a bad tiebreaker. Really quick, just give some predictions. Where do we think FCKC will finish this season, Danielle?
Third. That's my goal. We're getting back to the playoffs this season. I feel it. You know, considering all the adversity last season, and we damn near got to the playoffs last season, I think we are going to make it this season. And after that, you know, who knows? It depends who else, what other seasons are out there. But always remember, if FCKC gets to the playoffs, it's good. So I think we'll finish third.
Very fair. Jen, what are your thoughts? Where do you think KC will finish up this upcoming season?
I'm going to say anywhere from third to fifth. I don't think they quite have enough to get to the top of the league, but I don't think they're going to be bad and finish at the bottom of the league. It could happen, but it would take a lot of crazy things for them to go wrong. And like we've all said, they had to deal with a lot of problems last season, and we're still in the playoff hunt until the last 2 or 3 games of the year. So I would say I would say third to fifth, leaning more towards the fifth though.
All right. Sorry, I was typing in the chat again. I'm gonna go ahead and say they're gonna finish fourth. I'm always the worst with committing at this, but that's the first thing that popped in my head when I asked the question. I said they're gonna finish fourth. So I'm sticking to that. I let myself get swayed by other people last season, and I had my idea of where I thought each team was gonna finish, and then I let people convince me otherwise, and I was initially right. So I'm sticking with my guns this time. I think they're gonna finish fourth. And like Danielle said, when they are in the playoffs, like they just something turns on with them and they're just like, go. So I think that's going to end up happening, and I think it's going to be interesting. So we will see about that. Right. So wrapping up, Jen, any final thoughts on trying to keep it like to like a minute each? Any final thoughts on anything?
Okay. I said before that I have a rant, and here it goes. Actually, this is going to be 2 rants because Danielle kind of reminded me, kind of brought this up.
This is going to be longer than a minute.
First of all, to everybody who has given Sydney Lurie crap about stuff she has posted on social media, cut it the fuck out. Seriously, leave her alone. God. You know, she's not doing anything to hurt her baby. She's not doing anything that she has been told she shouldn't do. Leave her alone. Okay?
I'm regretting asking this question.
Okay.
Leave Brittany alone.
Exactly. And okay, my second rant, and this is directed at a certain player that was on the field for the US on Tuesday night.
Oh no.
I understand that it is very frustrating when you lose a game and lose in the manner that you did. I understand that when you are an athlete at that level, you are very in the public eye, and on things like social media, you are going to attract people who are going to give you crap. But under no circumstances does that give you or anyone else the right to throw a teammate publicly under the bus the way Ali Long did to Alyssa Nair on her now deleted Twitter rant. She basically went off calling everybody out and then had the gall and to say one of my things, oh, my keeper said she had it. You do not call your teammate out publicly like that. You say that kind of stuff for behind closed doors in a civil manner. That is inexcusable. No reason for it. Just, suck it up. Deal with it. It's part of what comes with being a professional athlete. And to point out, and when people are giving you constructive criticism to throw things like, I was the player of the match, no. Just either ignore it or say online, no, it wasn't a great game from any of us. We'll try to do better, like people like Brune and Morgan have said. There is absolutely no excuse for that type of behavior, and I hope somebody at U.S. Soccer sat her down and said, you do that again and there's going to be trouble. So, Ali Long, I know you're not going to listen, but knock that crap off. It is unacceptable.
One, watch your language, okay? Two, how am I supposed to follow that? Like,
I'm gonna have to start like approving content for these rants, I think, before we're actually live on air. Oh God, you're gonna give me an ulcer. Danielle, do you have anything else you need to say?
I mean, I was still in a good FCKC mood, and now we're all angry and ranty. I don't know.
Where's Karen's hat when you need it?
I don't know how to go from here.
For those of you watching,
go Blues, go Blues. That's how
we didn't mean to end the show this way. It was such a good show.
This is good.
I have nothing else to say.
I'm gonna start waving. I'm gonna start waving.
We're waving. We're done. Thanks everyone. Thanks for watching.
Brought the mood down, guys.
Just wave. Just wave.
Just wave. Thanks for your questions. Yeah, see you next time and have a good night, everyone.